Hello everyone, my name is Zachary O'Shea, and this is Box of Teeth. Every October for the last few years, I shared a monster a day that's made for Dungeons & Dragons with everyone, and this year is no different. So here is your October Monster Day for October 14th, 2023. Week 2 is almost finished. I've had a blast sharing monsters with you this week. What I have been doing, though, this week is sharing 2 monsters per day. One is a previously published Waiting Court monster, and the second is a legendary version of that same monster. The purpose is twofold. One, I get to share 2 monsters with you every day, which I think is pretty neat. But 2, I get to kind of give some advice and maybe give an example of taking a established monster, giving it a name, a unique personality, a few new abilities, and now you have a memorable antagonist for your players to hate. As a quick reminder, the Waiting Court is a family of dark fae that have a nightmarish feel to them. They're also very autumn-tinged. They have a folk horror, cosmic horror, and body horror element to them. Today we're going to be talking about the Plucker and a legendary Plucker. Expressionless and dull, the Plucker still exudes menace despite its placid features and mute manner. This 3-foot-tall fae's glassy eyes remind one of a corpse, but somehow they're still wet and alive. Though once mortal, the Plucker's years in the Feywild have marked it with honeycomb scars, vestigial antennae, and a long hooked nose. It wears a simple robe of rough red cloth, tied with a slip of leather. The Plucker is never far from its bag and can never be swayed from its duty to the harvestman that made it. This bag is a soul bag. It's a patchwork of garish colors crafted from the Plucker's flayed away soul and personality. Despite being an interdimensional vessel, its size never changes, roughly that of a sack of grain. The Plucker never has difficulty lifting its bag and always knows where it is. So let's go ahead and review the Plucker's stats for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Now, they are a CR 6 creature, so they are pretty dangerous. They are a medium fae, but they're on that cusp between small and medium. They have damage resistance to non-magical and non-silvered attacks. They have dark vision, athletic, stealth, the sort of stuff you might expect. They do have innate spellcasting of sleep, which gets stronger the more creatures that they have stuck in their soul bag. They do have leashed, so they can telepathically communicate with the harvestman that made and ruled them up to 10 miles, and the harvestman is another dark fae that has kind of a spiderish feel to it. They have the Plucker sack, which is kind of like a bag of holding, except it can only hold humanoids and the equipment that they're carrying. While these humanoids are in the sack, however, they do not age. They are incapacitated. They don't need to breathe or eat or any of that sort of stuff. And if the Plucker dies, the sack rapidly decays and spills on all the creatures unharmed. They do have regeneration, which is a bit of a unique version of it. They do regain a number of hit points equal to the number of humanoids currently in their bag. So that can be pretty tough the more humanoids they have in it. They make 2 attacks with their Plucker sack, which does a base 1d6 plus 3 bludgeoning damage, plus 1 bludgeoning damage for every creature that they have in the sack. So the more people the Plucker has abducted, the more dangerous they become. But let's talk about a more dangerous Plucker still. That would be Strawberry. Everybody in the kingdom has heard the tale of a strawberry blonde princess who was snatched by the fair folk because she wandered away from her keepers following pretty spider webs among the flowers. This is a cautionary yarn to keep children at their mother's skirts. It may also be a true story, but like so many others, distorted into fiction. What is true, however, is that a strawberry blonde-haired Plucker wearing a crown of rusted iron and spiderwebs has returned to the land. Wearing a tattered gown and a vicious smile, Strawberry is set apart from other Pluckers because she actually has an expression. She and her court, other Pluckers, and lesser fae, have begun a guerrilla war with the kingdom's cities with the clear intent of usurping the government. Does she merely seek to take back what was once hers? Or does she have an even more sinister motive? That's up to the storyteller. Either way, the Waiting Court clearly fears her as well, and they do not fear much. However, never think that the enemy of your enemy is your friend where Strawberry is concerned. So here we have a rebellious Plucker that is a danger to both mortals and Fae alike. Let's take a look at her statistics for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition as a legendary creature. She is CR7. She does have an 8 spellcasting of sleep, as discussed before. She has the Plucker sack. She has regeneration. She attacks with a Plucker sack, but she has a lot of other abilities befitting her noble rank. One of those is Noble Me, so as long as she's not incapacitated, she does gain a bonus to her armor class equal to her charisma bonus. She does have Rebel Princess, so she can communicate telepathically with any Plucker within 1 mile, and all of the Pluckers that she is connected to have leashed back to her. And she has Dismiss, so she can dismiss someone and do psychic damage at range, and that creature needs to make a save or retreat away, rather like Dissonant Whisper. And she does have a few different unique legendary abilities. She has Wallop, so she makes a Plunder Sack attack. She has Despoil, so she can rip away the magic item bonuses that someone has if they don't make their save. And she has Giggle Fit, which is basically a legendary power that is Tasha's Hideous Laughter. She has 2 other abilities I want to mention really quick. She has Door Stride, which is kind of like a Dryad's Tree Stride, but instead of moving from tree to tree, she can magically move from open doorway to open doorway with a little bit of her movement. And as a bonus action, she has Urban Veil, where she can make herself invisible as long as she's in an urban setting a couple of times per day. Now, I'm really glad I could share Strawberry and the Pluckers with you, which now that I think about it kind of sounds like a band name, but that is not intentional, I assure you. She is a really good antagonist. You can have players investigate her background, the truth of the matter, and how she was abducted. Maybe they can switch her over to their side, maybe not. Or she could be a third-party antagonist that is both a thorn in the side of the Waning Court and the player characters. There's a lot of movement there. Pluckers, on the other hand, they are challenge rating 6, so they are a little bit difficult for a smaller level party to deal with, especially if there's more than one. But for example, in a memorable game session, I had a higher level party that was chasing a group of Pluckers throughout the city as they were abducting city guard ahead of a Waning Court invasion. So there's a lot of potential there for sure. As always, I really do appreciate your time and your attention. You can always go find all the other monsters that I've made for every October, or hundreds of other horror-themed beasties for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, all for free at boxofteeth.blogspot.com. If you're interested in the other horror role-playing game projects that I have that have nothing to do with Dungeons & Dragons, or the horror fiction that I write, and I just, put grease paint right there. It is a novel about a killer clown. It's a good read for the Halloween season. You can always find those at www.zacharyoshea.com. All right, everyone, I hope you have a great rest of the weekend. We're going to be back tomorrow, starting with some named Fae Knights of the Waning Court, which will take up week number 3. Have a great day, everybody.